Hello everyone. Hello and welcome to Madison Audubon's live lesson. My name is Rachel and I am the education assistant this summer. We are in the middle of our second summer session and it is just flying by. I am so thankful to be a part of summer camp this summer. I feel as though I look at the world with new eyes and I've been noticing all the things that are around me. In particular this summer, I feel like I've just noticed how many plants and flowers there are around me all the time, and it's gotten me really excited to learn more. So I hope that this summer you've gotten a chance to notice some of the things around you and that you're excited to learn more. Feel free to say hello in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. You can also ask any questions and I will check back in over the course of the video and I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. I would love to hear from all of you. Today and this week, it is Mammal Week at summer camp. So my first question for all of you is, have you seen any mammals this summer, this week? And maybe you haven't even seen a mammal, but you've seen their tracks or their scat or other signs of mammals. If you have, let me know. A couple of my favorite mammal sightings happened in northern Minnesota last week. The first was a red squirrel, but this red squirrel was swimming. I had never seen a red squirrel swim before, and this squirrel was swimming across a lake, so it was a fairly long distance, and it was a really good swimmer. So I was very impressed to see that red squirrel swimming. My other sighting was a fawn, and I knew it was still pretty young because it had all of its white spots on its back. So that was pretty exciting as well. Today, I'm going to be talking about mammals and what mammals do when it's so hot. Because most mammals and other animals can't just go inside, take off their fur coat, and turn on the air conditioner like some of us are able to do as humans. So the big question is, what do they do instead? It's been pretty hot in Wisconsin. There's been some really hot and humid weeks. And I know around the rest of the country they've been having huge heat waves. So one of the questions that's been on my mind is, what are all those animals doing to stay cool? To start things off, let's talk about what we as humans do to stay cool, since we are mammals. And just a side note, if you have a favorite way to stay cool, let me know in the comments. So humans, we are kind of an exception among mammals in that we sweat all over. Other primates, that's monkeys and apes, they also sweat. And horses sweat in a different way than we do. But they sweat as well. But most mammals do not sweat all over. We have a lot of surface area on our skin in order to be able to sweat. And a lot of other mammals are covered in fur, so they can't do that. But they use a very similar process to sweating. And this process is called evaporative cooling. So let's dig into that a little bit more. Evaporative cooling is when you cool yourself through evaporation. So that's changing liquid into gas. And in this case, it's water because our sweat is mostly water. So when we have liquid on our skin in the form of sweat and it evaporates, it cools us down. And that's because our body heat is used as energy to change that liquid to a gas. So as the liquid evaporates, we lose body heat and we cool down. There are other animals that use this same technique to stay cool. Before I get into those mammals, I am going to check the comments. It looks like Finley saw a fox in Middleton. That is super cool. Was it a red fox? I love seeing red foxes. They are around and often in urban places where we don't necessarily expect them. So that is awesome. Thanks for sharing, Finley. All right. Jumping back into evaporative cooling, so how mammals are staying cool. Let me bring in my favorite mammal. Let's see if she'll come for us, because she's gonna demonstrate our first strategy. So let's see. Joey, come here. All right, come on up. All right, this is my favorite mammal. Her name is Joey, and she is a dog. All right, Joey, can you face the camera? This way. So, Joey, dogs, cats, horses, coyotes, wolves, and other animals pant in order to cool down. I'm sorry, Joey did not pant for you all just this moment. But I'm sure lots of you have had the experience of seeing dogs pant when they're super hot. So by panting, they're moving air through their snouts and they're opening their mouths, and they are letting all of that moisture within their mouths and throats evaporate. And it's really located just in their heads, but through panting, they're able to cool down their whole bodies. That's pretty incredible. They're losing energy in the form of heat as they pant. The longer the snout of the animal, so let me bring Joey up again real quick. Come on up. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, she is not going to be flexible for me right now. So the longer the snout of the animal, the more surface area they have to release that heat. So the more they're able to cool their bodies down. So if you think of a horse, they have a really long snout. So they're able to cool themselves down by panting. The cool thing about horses is they also sweat. So since they're running so much and so fast, they also have to lose heat by sweating. But dogs with squished faces, so dogs with squished noses, they have way less surface area, and so they are not able to cool themselves down very well. That's why some dogs are not able to tolerate very much heat. Just like us when we sweat, these animals are losing a lot of water, and so it is very important that they stay hydrated when it's hot out. So don't forget to drink your water during these hot summer months. I am going back to the comments, and it looks like it was a red fox. That is awesome. And Rowan says she made casts of deer prints with her grandpa. That sounds very fun, Rowan. I bet that those are some cool casts that you'll have for a long time to know what deer tracks look like. Awesome. All right, we are going to hop on over to another cooling strategy. Also evaporative cooling that some mammals use. Now, this one's getting a little bit more silly. some mammals lick themselves in order to cool down. Yes, indeed, they lick themselves. So you might experience this or get to see it because squirrels are one of the animals that lick themselves to cool down. So if you ever see squirrels licking their forearms, they're doing that to stay cool. Kangaroos are another animal that do this. They'll lick their forearms. So both squirrels and kangaroos have lots of blood vessels in their forearms. So when they lick them and they get them really wet, all that warm blood is able to help evaporate their saliva and cool them down. So dogs have lots of blood vessels in their noses and snouts, and these animals have lots of blood vessels in their forearms, so that's the place that they focus on in order to cool their whole bodies. Pretty neat. I'm gonna definitely keep my eyes out for squirrels that are licking their arms. Now, I know it's Mammal Week, but I had to talk about a couple of other types of animals because all animals probably get hot in the summertime, and these animals have some pretty cool strategies for staying cool. They also use evaporative cooling, so they kind of fit right in with these mammals. I'm going to talk about lizards and birds. So, let's talk about lizards. Sometimes lizards will just kind of be lying somewhere with their mouths wide open and they're not moving. Maybe something like this. Now, they're not just waiting to catch insects that might fly into their mouths. They're actually cooling themselves down. So it's kind of the same idea as dogs and panting. The lizards are opening their mouths so that the moisture inside will evaporate and it'll cool down that part of their body. So the lizards, when their mouths are open, are really working on cooling down their heads and their brains. So if you see a lizard with its mouth wide open, you can think to yourself that it's getting nice and cool. Birds have a couple different ways they use evaporative cooling. The first is done by species like pelicans and herons, by some owls and doves, and it's kind of silly sounding, so get ready. It's called gular fluttering. Gular fluttering. So that is when birds open their mouths and they vibrate their throat muscles. I can't do it because I'm not a bird, but they can just move their muscles. And what it's doing is it's sending lots and lots of air through their mouth and throat area so that once again they can evaporate all that water and lose a lot of body heat through the same process. So as I'm thinking about all these different animals, so many of them are using their mouth and throat area as a way to cool themselves down because they can get so much airflow through those areas. This means that these birds are also losing a lot of water. So maybe we don't often think of it, but birds also need to drink water during the hot summer months in order to stay hydrated so that they can keep cooling themselves down. All right, this is the grossest strategy of them all, so I hope you're ready. This is done by vultures and some species of storks. So, here we go. These birds will poop on their own legs. Yeah, you heard me right. They poop on their own legs. So if you think about bird poop, it's pretty liquidy. So these birds will poop on their legs and then the moisture will evaporate and they'll lose a lot of body heat through their legs. So just something to watch out for if you're around vultures or some storks you might witness this gross strategy of keeping themselves cool. We have so many mammals and other animals that use evaporative cooling. That's why pigs and hippos and elephants love to find some mud or water. And we do as well. So we might not sweat like pigs, but we do evaporate cooling just like pigs do. I'm sort of gonna switch directions and hop into one other type of strategy that mammals use to stay cool, and this is their behavior. So mammals will change what they're doing in order to keep themselves cooler during the summer. Here are some examples. I've been seeing some muskrats this summer, and I see them at different times than I do maybe in the late winter or in the spring. So muskrats, which are like small beavers, they're rodents, and they have long, skinny, hairless tails. They come out and are active more in the evening and then in the early morning. So periods of time when the sun is not up high in the sky. So they're changing when they're active to avoid times when the sun is making the temperature really warm during the day. I have a fun word to teach you all that applies to these muskrats. So diurnal animals are active during the day, diurnal day. Nocturnal animals are active during the night, nocturnal night. And crepuscular animals are active during twilight, so times in the early morning and evening. That's crepuscular. I enjoy the way that word sounds, and so that's why it's stuck with me. So these muskrats are exhibiting crepuscular behavior in order to stay cool. Squirrels are another mammal that change their behavior in order to stay cool. They'll change where they live. You might see big leafy nests high in trees. These nests are shady and they're airy, and they're much cooler than the crevices in trees or the holes in trees where squirrels will spend the colder months of the year. Squirrels also just don't move as much when it's hot. I kind of feel that way too. If it's hot and you're moving a lot, you're creating a lot of heat. So the less you move, the cooler you will be. And then my favorite thing about squirrels that some of them will do is they'll take their big bushy tail and they'll put it over their heads like an umbrella, and they'll provide some of their own shade. So they'll keep themselves cool. I sometimes wish that I had a large tail that I could use as shade, because it sounds nice to bring shade with you everywhere you go. Well, those were some of the big strategies, evaporative cooling and behavior, that mammals used and other animals used to stay cool during the summer. That's all for today. So you can access all of the summer camp activities on the Madison Audubon website. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us on Facebook or via email. Most of all, I hope that you all stay cool. So thanks for joining me today. Bye.